Crack open a tepid Genesee and watch the pictures as they travel through your neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's the Rees Company. I'm Steve Rees, the bull of American broadcasting, alongside the great Chris Morganti. And I see Chris has brought champagne again tonight, so I'm assuming we have something else to celebrate. Looking forward to finding out what that is. In just a minute, we're going to have a new funny or hate crime. That's a rare segment we haven't had in a while. And later on, we're going to get into our movie of the week, Terror on Highway 91. But first, here's the Sways bomb.
The Rees Company.
By the way, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm.
All right. People who really want to have a good time won't come to a slaughterhouse. And we've got entirely too many troublemakers here. Too many 40-year-old adolescents, felons, power drinkers, and trustees of modern chemistry. It's going to change. Be nice.
That ain't working.
I want you to be nice.
That ain't working.
And you'll both be nice.
So much as my wife was a giant, but
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
no, I'm pretty sure that's the way you do it.
The Rees Company.
So, Chris, champagne, huh?
Yeah.
Did we reach a new subscriber milestone?
I think we got one more this week.
All right. So, champagne gets involved?
Well, yeah, I'm celebrating being here with my friends Steve and Jim.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to drink champagne. Yeah.
I
You
see.
want some?
Just a little bit.
All right.
Can't go too crazy because, man, champagne. If you saw last week's show, you can see the effect that champagne has on this program. Thank you. That's perfect.
Were
Perfect
we out of
taste.
form? Is that what you're implying?
No, I thought we were very chatty.
Yeah.
In a way that, especially you. I tend to be chatty because I kind of have to be, but
Right. One of us has to be.
somebody
or there wouldn't
should.
be much of a show.
So this week, I think here's what we can celebrate.
All right.
We have a segment on the show that we do very rarely.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that this is a rare segment because that means that things are going well in this world.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, we could find other things to use in this segment, but they would be kind of depressing, and we don't want to do that.
Okay, and you want to explain to the folks this segment.
Well, there was a man who...
Oh, wait, this is funny or hate crime.
I'm sorry. Yes, funny or hate crime. And this comes out of New York, where apparently someone's grave was being violated. Desecrated, I believe, is the term that's used for that activity.
In a unique way, I don't think this is typical behavior.
Well, the son and daughter of the deceased, who visit the grave regularly, they first noticed a bag of poop on the gravesite, which they attributed to a ne'er-do-well dog walker. Then it happened again and again and again. So they set up some security cameras.
Which I believe we're seeing right now. It turned out to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular human, I guess
Well-
it's still alleged, but this
Yeah,
person
the
is
son and the
clearly
daughter recognized this man as
someone from their past.
Well, I don't even think their past, because it was 50 years ago that this guy was married to the woman whose grave he's pissing on. And they were only married for like a year. I mean, this guy holds a grudge. Hey, here's another weird wrinkle. He's not alone in that car. His current wife is driving that car. So, yeah, this is a weird one, man. So the woman's...
And for reference, for perspective, I can't get Andrea to listen to one side of a Slade album.
The woman's name was Linda Louise Torello, and she and her ex-husband had allegedly not been in contact since 1976. Now, I mean, I guess we can just move on to decide if this is funny or a hate crime.
Well, that's what we haven't explained. The key to the segment is we determine whether this is funny, a hate crime, or both.
Or neither.
Or neither, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we've settled on all four of those on occasion.
Yeah.
But my first reaction to this was, good for him. The guy doing the desecrating.
Yeah, and why was that?
And that, well, why not? But then I got to the part where it said they had not been in contact since 1976. And then I thought, yeah, dude, you got to move on.
True, that's probably best for his sanity.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, isn't it possible that she did something so horrible to him?
That was my next reaction.
Right.
That was the final reaction I settled on. Like, if he's that mad, who knows what she did? And I'll tell you another thing. The fact that his current wife is on board with all this, you would think that she would be like, dude, you're still hung up on this woman you were married to 50 years ago. Instead, she's like, no, let's go do it. It's 5 a.m. Go drink some water because we got some desecrating to do. So, I mean, this is obviously funny. There's no way this isn't funny. But the thing is I'm going to have to say it's not a hate crime because I'm going to bring up this other part of the story here. In the state of New York, grave desecration is only considered a crime when the damages exceed $250. Therefore, the local police have said we can't press charges in this case. He's just taking a leak outside, man. It's despite the fact that they have it on video. You would think public indecency at least would be on the table here.
But as I understand it, this woman's son, the woman who's buried in under this tombstone, it seems like he's gone out of his way to spend an obscene amount of money on desanitizing the premises.
It says he hired a hazmat company to remove all of the grave decorations that are soaked in urine.
Could I just give a suggestion? Possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe he was still in love with her, and they were into water sports. Saying.
Oh, my God.
Could have been into water sports before they broke up.
So this is an act of love in your opinion.
A crime of passion?
Yeah.
It's his version of gangsta-lean.
And the current wife who's involved in this, what's her story on that?
Well, I mean, if they're into water sports, I'm sure there was some kind of fetish.
So they're part of a community of perverts, I guess.
Just people that like water sports.
All right.
Here's my take on this. I do believe it is an act of hate. He clearly did not love this woman.
Right.
She did something at some point that turned him against her to such a degree that, as you said, it's almost 50 years or something like that. He's been carrying this grudge.
Yeah.
So it is an act of hate, but it's not an act of hate based on who that person is, something about them that they can't help. It's not that she's a woman. It's not that she's of a certain race or a certain orientation or a certain religion. It's he just really hates something that she did.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure you could call this, although it is an act of hate, it doesn't fall under the definition of hate crime, in my opinion.
In your opinion, you don't know. He could just really hate Italians. We really don't know for sure. But yeah, I mean, but you think it's funny, right?
I wouldn't say it's funny, and I wouldn't recommend anybody engage in this.
All right. Well, I thought it was funny.
We disagree. So
also this, by the way, if you're wondering, just like I was, what this building behind them was, it looks like someone's house.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a church. Like, okay, that's where you go to church, huh? Looks like you could pick up like a $2 hamburger there, but all right. I think we've exhausted the segment there.
Okay, so would you like to move on?
I would.
And possibly discuss our movie of the week of the week. It's called Terror on Highway 91.
Yeah, and much like Terror on Track 9, Highway 91 barely factors into it.
No, it doesn't figure into it at all. I think
just
we
like
see
Track 9
there are two shots. I wouldn't even call them scenes. I think there are two shots that take place on the titular highway.
Yeah.
It aired on the CBS television network on January 3rd, 1989. Now, shall we hit the intro? Yeah, as we mentioned, terror on Highway 91. Terror in air quotes.
Now, this starred Ricky Schroder,
Yeah.
who was already famous at this point for his role in the TV show Silver Spoons.
Yeah.
Which I believe had ended right before this.
Yeah, he was kind of between gigs. This was almost smack dab in between Silver Spoons and NYPD Blue.
Yeah, okay. I never watched that show, but I do remember him being on there. Yeah. So, yeah, he had a good career.
Yeah, yeah.
He had a good career. We'll find it. We'll get an update on him later on in the show.
Well, Ricky, it also stars a guy called George Zunza.
Yeah. Now, did you recognize him at all?
I did not. As I understand, he's been in a lot of things.
Well, yeah, he looked familiar to me, and then I realized he was a detective on the first season of Law & Order.
Only the first season.
I believe he left to go to Broadway. Oof.
And I think he also
Bad
quit
move.
because he played a police officer, and the role wasn't big enough for him.
Yeah.
He expected to be more of a leading guy, and it turned out. And in that show, it's still on the air.
Sam Waterston has been doing it for 30 years. He left after one season.
Yeah, so not a great manager, not a great agent. But Ricky Schroder, he plays a small-town general store assistant, and he's offered a position.
Well, he's a grocery bagger.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he's still in high school.
yeah.
Yeah.
And during that time, he's offered a position as a deputy sheriff, because that's how things work.
Yeah, I think I honestly don't know. But I always assumed you had to go to the police academy and then apply for a position.
Well, he did. It was contingent on him finishing graduating from the academy. But it did seem to work backwards. He had a job offer before he had attended training.
Well, as we see, this sheriff's department doesn't always play by the rules.
Yeah, they're fast and loose, I'd say. So during this process, going to the police academy, he begins dating the daughter of a local motel owner. Now, the daughter is played by Lara Flynn Boyle, and the two go on a fishing date, and Lara makes an odd request.
Hey, you got a nibble.
I did?
I think you got one.
What do I do?
Pick it up. Come on, hurry, really, do it. Quick. Oh, whoa, look at him. Lively one, too. Look at him. Must be at least 3 ounces.
Is that good?
Well, unless you're
Is
planning
that
to eat
good?
him.
No.
Let's throw him back.
No, I want you to take it to the academy. Keep it in your pocket to remember me by, like a rabbit's foot.
Yeah.
Screw that malarkey, you doof.
He gave that comment the exact response it deserved.
He wastes no time.
Yeah, put it in my pocket. Yeah.
So as it turns out, Ricky finds success. He makes the grade,
Yeah.
and he goes to work as a sheriff's deputy. He learns quickly, however, that there are different rules for certain people in the county. This scene also contains something I know you don't care for in these movies or any movie, and perhaps in life.
Oh, okay.
Let's take a look.
Randy, I'm afraid you ran that stop sign back there.
Hey, excuse me, but, what are you trying to prove, huh?
Nothing, really. I just think the law's the law, even for the sheriff's son.
Oh, is that a fact, Kojak?
God.
That's Laura
Here,
in the
you're
car with
just
this guy.
wasting valuable paper, Slick.
Yeah, that was the girl with the fish in the pocket
Yeah,
who he had been dating, and now she's hanging around with a cool one,
yeah.
the sheriff's son. Yes, the character-defining vanity plate, a fixture of 80s movies.
You're not a fan of that. But like you, I'm also not a fan of that in life.
You don't like a good vanity plate?
It depends. But if it's something like that, if your entire self-image can be summed up in 6 or 7 characters, then you're just a vacuous creep.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, so Ricky and his partner, they're on patrol. They're almost run off the road by a reckless motorist. So they give chase.
at this guy.
You're a fan of that shot, right?
This he's got stolen merchandise in the trunk. He's in a police chase. Why not have a beer?
So they catch up with him. Now, let's see their clumsy attempt to apprehend him. And before we watch this, I should point out there's a lot of running with guns drawn in this movie. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and I would say the way Rick Schroder handles a weapon, I don't know if he's trying to portray that the character is inexperienced. It just seems like somebody who's like carrying a gun, like they've never even seen a gun before. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but take a look and see if you agree.
That could be. And just run with that. Yeah, keep your finger on the trigger and run.
Yeah, good trigger discipline.
Get out! Get out!
This is the worst fight choreography, if you can call it that, I've ever seen. Here it comes.
All right. Hey, hurry up! Hold it still, Charlie.
Oh, look at that face. Something's coming out.
Still, Charlie. Hey, come. Oh, man.
Yeah, and you made reference to this, Chris, but yeah, the back of this guy's car is loaded with stolen VCRs.
Yeah, he's got a handle on that hot VCR market.
Yeah.
In 1989.
So Ricky brings the man in. It turns out he's a friend of the sheriff's son, the cool one.
Yeah.
And also the guy who is now with Ricky's girlfriend.
Yeah.
So the sheriff's son and the VCR thief, they're rumored to be engaged in criminal operations together.
Yeah, drug dealing, petty theft, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So not only is this man we just saw apprehended, not only is he released without charges, of course, to Ricky's dismay, both this man and the sheriff's son get deputized.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming.
No. So
I don't believe they had to go through the police academy.
No,
the
they
other guy
didn't.
did.
So what I wondered is Ricky more aggravated that these criminals are part of the sheriff's department now, or that they didn't have to go through the police academy?
But I mean, if you're going to be a cop, wouldn't you want to go through the police academy?
Oh yeah, because because man, it'd be so much fun. There's a guy there. I don't know if I saw a documentary about the police training that goes on.
Okay.
There's a guy there who just makes noises with his mouth, and they sound like anything you can imagine.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there also a guy who like talks in a real nerdy voice and is like small? And
Yeah, there's one of those too.
Yeah, because that's always fun too.
Yeah, I think that's required by law.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You want it to be fun.
Depends on the municipality, or in this case, the county. So, with all this talk about the sheriff, however, we haven't seen the man yet. He has been in earlier scenes, but our audience has not met him. So, this is all you need to know about the guy that you haven't already heard. We've kind of set him up as a cretin.
Well, yeah.
And here we have some proof. He has a below-board demand for his deputies. Let's check this out.
I just got word that state authorities have decided that our old jail's too old and too crowded by poor innocent prisoners. The county's got to build a new jail, so I volunteered to head up a little fundraising drive. Therefore, we're going to hit Highway 91 for every violation in the book. I want to see arrests, lots of them.
Pause.
What exactly are we looking for?
Yeah, that'll solve your overcrowding problem.
Now, Steve, I didn't think to ask you to include this scene because I just assumed you would, but in the old jail, we saw a dude get waterboarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're up to a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah, yeah.
They waterboarded him to find out his accomplice in a liquor store robbery. So, they're up to a lot of...
So there is suspect abuse going on, as well as this nefarious attempt to collect...
grift, I guess you could call it.
Yes, yes. Fraudulent levies on people's...
I feel like every speeding ticket I've ever gotten is fraudulent, but that's just my opinion.
Well, let's see a little more of this.
Everything. Speeding, expired inspection sticker, possession of narcotics, bad breath. Whatever you can pin on 'em.
Yeah. So what he's actually proposing is an increase in fines. And you know what this reminds me of, Chris? It reminds me of 2008 when the economy was tanking and municipalities all over the country were declaring bankruptcy, defaulting on loans.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, statewide cell phone use while driving laws were put into place.
Oh, yeah.
Started popping up left and right. Now, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I think one event was a natural consequence of the other.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. By the way, if they're going to start fining people for bad breath, they might want to hang out by the Doritos factory. I'm just saying. If you eat a lot of Doritos and you don't know why people are avoiding you, put two and two together. They do not sit well in the whatever.
Palate?
Yeah.
I guess that's the wrong word, but so Ricky Schroder. By the way, can I say this? That scene that we just watched, I remember seeing this movie when it was on.
Really?
This is the first one that we've watched. I thought, oh yes, I remember this.
It's funny that you say that because I don't remember watching, but I do remember it being on the cover of TV Guide at the time. Not the publication, but the free one that you got with the Sunday paper.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like his first adult role. Oh, well, he's he's just out of high school, but basically his first adult role.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Ricky Schroder, of course,
Right.
and he doesn't
We're not
care.
talking about the dude that left Law and Order.
No.
Right.
He doesn't care what's being asked by the sheriff. He doesn't care for it.
Yeah.
Because it's a tall order for him and his colleagues. He goes to the second in command to air his grievances and his frustrations. Let's see some of this.
This is like his mentor, sort of.
Yeah.
Decisions are not always that simple. Sometimes you got to break eggs if you're going to make an omelet. Now, if you're not happy being a deputy sheriff, then maybe you're in the wrong line of work.
No, Mr. Warren, not at all. I mean, I love my job. But what is Randy doing with a badge? There's rumors all around this county him and Terry Snyder are dealing drugs.
Rumors. That's it, rumors. You got any proof?
No, but what? But what about right and wrong?
Look, Clay, I'll be honest with you. I don't always approve of everything the sheriff does myself. And this business out on 91, I don't like that any more than you do. But every election day, the folks in this county have a chance to tell the sheriff whether or not they approve of what he's doing. Now, if everybody else is happy with things the way they are, why fight it?
Yeah, this is something that gets on my nerves that you hear a lot about sheriffs and DAs in true crime documentaries, Chris.
Okay.
Usually in cases where they've been especially aggressive in pursuing a conviction with flimsy evidence.
Yeah.
Someone always says, well, the DA needed a conviction because he had an election coming up. Like anyone but him is keeping score. Anybody but the DA or the sheriff.
Mm.
I voted, I'm sure, for many sheriffs and many DAs, only because they're part of the ballot, I think.
Yeah, I think you would have to lose a high-profile case, something akin to the O.J. Simpson case.
Right.
Before the voters would be like, this guy's a bum. We got to get him out of there.
Chris, have you ever seen a campaign ad or a campaign sign for a sheriff?
I honestly, I don't think I even realized it was an elected position until this movie.
Of course not. Nobody knows or cares who the sheriff is. I thought I saw a campaign ad, a campaign sign for a sheriff. It turned out to be an ad for an Arby's.
Oh.
So,
Well,
I can't tell
can see
you
how you would make that mistake.
Yeah, and I'm sure I voted for many of these people, and I can't tell you the name of a single person who I've helped put in office, let alone which cases they've cracked.
I'll tell you one sheriff I'd vote for is Roscoe Coltrane. That guy was the best.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
So this delusion people have in DAs and sheriff's offices that anyone but them is paying attention to their win-loss record, it's beyond stupid. And maybe putting innocent people behind bars. So here's a clip I'd like to show, not so much for narrative purposes, but to ask this question. Did someone sneak into this scene, or was the costume department one band uniform short?
Uh-oh.
Let's take a look. All right. Verdict?
I don't know what the hell they were doing there.
I think it's possible that guy was portraying a plainclothes cop on parade detail.
But he was in formation with the band.
Yes, he was marching alongside her. No uniform, no instrument, no baton. I think he might have sneaked onto the set.
Maybe.
Now, that actually reminded me of something. And it reminded me of something Oasis related. Chris, back in the 90s, Liam Gallagher was attending a fashion show in Milan.
Sure.
And I guess he got bored.
I can understand that. Yeah.
So this happened. Let's take a look.
He just strutted up on stage.
He just decided, yeah, I can do that.
What the hell is he wearing, by the way? Shorts and a trench coat?
I have no idea what you would call that.
He
But
was on his way to
yeah.
expose his penis somewhere.
And
now, do you think he might have been intoxicated at this event?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And I also believe he was removed from the premises.
I wouldn't. You kind of have to, because he's going to do it again if you don't kick him out.
But that's what that scene reminded me of.
Yeah.
Just the guy making himself part of things. So back to the Cade County Sheriff's Department. Word is the FBI has caught wind of the corruption in the county.
Yeah.
They're sending some agents to interview deputies. By this point, Ricky has witnessed several abuses of power. He also just collected unrecorded firsthand testimony that the sheriff is using jailed suspects to harvest truckloads of marijuana.
Yeah.
His own crop, or his son's crop.
The son's growing marijuana out in the woods somewhere, and then, they go and pick it up.
Yeah. Now, to our younger viewers, that may sound like merely an issue of unpaid labor.
Right.
But in those days, growing that amount of weed could land a guy in prison for decades.
I mean, there's guys in jail for marijuana crimes in states where it's now been legalized, which,
Yes.
I mean, there's been talk of reform because that's clearly wrong.
Yeah, it's illegal imprisonment.
I mean, I guess maybe legally it's not, though, because when they were convicted, it was illegal.
There must be a technicality.
But it's morally wrong. Obviously, if you decided that it's no longer a crime, then how do you justify keeping these guys in jail?
I agree with that.
But, I mean, I would think I don't know where this is supposed to take place. Obviously, someplace in the deep south, right? It's probably still illegal there, but
more than likely.
Yeah.
So the FBI, they set up shop in the local post office, and they bring in deputies one by one. But the sheriff, he's sitting in the cafe across the street. Not just him, but his associates.
Mm.
And he and they take notice of who's going in and out and how long they're spending in the interview room.
Okay.
So Ricky has a real-time moral dilemma. Let's see this.
We'll take them. For instance, have you heard anything about Sheriff Barton being involved in torturing prisoners? Rex, glad you could join us. This is Deputy Nelson.
Yeah, I think we met a few months back. How are you, buddy?
So how about it, Clay? Got anything you want to tell us?
No. I got nothing to say to y'all.
Now, Rick, the bald guy with the mustache, he's like buddy-buddy with the sheriff.
Yeah.
That was established in an earlier scene. So that's why the dramatic music and him, clamming up like you did.
Yeah, and he does clam up, but in response to this, Ricky pays the sheriff a visit.
Okay.
You're going to tell me. There was $25,000 worth of evidence in that property room. Some of it I risked my life to get. And I want to know where the hell it is.
Too many people had access to that room, so I had to move to a safe place.
Including 2 truckloads of marijuana? Is that in a safe place, too?
That's correct.
No. There's a time I would have believed you, but not now, Jesse.
You're sitting mighty close to the fire, ain't you, Deputy?
You may be able to run this county like your own private kingdom, and nobody gives a damn, but there's nothing says I gotta be a part of it. Nothing.
And so he quit the police department, got himself a steady job, but boy, he's going to carry that weight a long time.
And that steady job is being a police officer in another part of the state.
Yeah.
But he misses home. And he does return home for a family funeral.
Yeah.
And he's met by the sheriff during this, I guess during the event, we see him talking to the sheriff.
Why, did someone piss on the grave? We need you to investigate this for us.
But the sheriff makes an appeal for Ricky's return to Cade County law enforcement, this time as a special investigator. And Ricky accepts. Now, during Ricky's absence, there's been a crime wave in the county. Ironically, because the sheriff's main focus is having his deputies shake people down for minor or made-up offenses out there on Highway 91.
Yeah, apparently Rick Schroder was the only one investigating actual crimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though the new jail has been paid for, you know what that reminds me of, Chris?
What?
The Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. That's one of those roads that, the tolls are temporary.
Yeah.
Just there till the road is paid for.
Sure.
So the road was built it was opened in 1957.
Yeah.
I guess maybe the road applied for medical school loans. That's why
that's the thing about temporary taxes is they tend to never be temporary ever.
Right, because whoever it is collecting those counts on the money for their budget.
It all goes into one big fund, so it's not like, oh well, this is paid for, so now we stop this. It all gets lumped together.
Right.
Yeah.
Man,
I'll tell you, the government. Damn it.
So again, the sheriff's son and the vomitous VCR thief. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also remember
cool one and the guy who drinks beer during a cool chase.
Yeah, they're deputies now. We covered that.
Yeah.
They meet Ricky at an all-units call to a pharmacy robbery. Let's see this.
Anybody hurt? No, okay.
What happened?
Me and Terry's on patrol. We heard his alarm go off.
Got up here and two guys come flying out of this busted window here.
Yeah, they had a bag with them. I think he got a bunch of drugs from inside.
We yelled at them and they started shooting at us.
Well, did you see their faces? Did you get a good look at them?
Hell no, son. We was a little too busy dodging bullets.
We shot at them and they hightailed it around back and we chased them.
Yeah, but it's pitch black back there. You can't see nothing.
We ought to go to Foley's trailer park. Roust out some of them migrants. Maybe we can get a lead on this.
Hey, that's a good idea. There's always a bunch of ex-cons hanging around there anyway.
If you watch that scene again, they were obviously up to robbing the pharmacy or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you watch it again, they could have easily also been in the midst of passionate gay sex and just been walked in on.
Oh, because
from their reaction.
The state of undress they appear to be.
They're all out of breath and undressed. Like, okay.
My guess is there might have been security cameras in the pharmacy.
Okay.
So they changed out of and then back into their police uniforms.
Well, that's a good theory, but I like mine as well.
Okay. Well, so after these dorks leave to pin the whole thing on Mexicans, Ricky makes a cursory investigation and determines...
They're called migrants, Steve, migrants.
Okay. He determines that they were the ones guilty of the robbery themselves. So he writes up a report, Ricky does, and submits it to the second in command.
Yeah.
Well, this guy tells him that even if he has solid proof, he won't get an indictment against the sheriff's son. Speaking of the sheriff's son, he's now living with Lara.
Yeah, the fish in the pocket girl.
Yeah. So Ricky,
who is, I think, a famous actress.
Lara Flynn Boyle.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize the name, but you won't recognize the face because the video quality is so blurry.
Yeah.
You can't even really tell if she's attractive or not. I assume she is, but I don't know.
Well, Ricky pays her a visit. Maybe we'll get a better look.
You look awful.
Well, there you go. There's our verdict. She looks awful. Well, that worked out well.
Listen, Laura, you may not care no more about me, but I still love you. And if you stay here with Randy Barton, something terrible is going to happen.
And you'll deserve it.
You're right, he's crazy.
Randy's dealing real big time now, isn't he? And ain't just marijuana either.
Look, Clay, you better leave. He'll be home in a minute.
Drugs and stolen VCRs. Bet you Jesse's right in the middle of it.
Look, Clay, you're not going to tell...
You knew all this, Laura? Why are you still living with him?
I don't know. Jesse thought I'd be good for Randy, so he got my mom. Well, she's so loyal to Jesse, she'd do anything for him. So she just convinced me that I'd be better off with Randy. Him being the sheriff's son and all. She just said that you...
What'd she say about me?
She said that you were a troublemaker and I should stay away from you.
You're telling me your mother thinks you're better off with a drug-dealing outlaw than me?
It wasn't just her. I guess I wanted it too. I thought that Randy was so cool, you know?
Yeah, well, you opted for cool instead of good, so you deserve all you get. Yet somehow the unlikely happens, Chris.
You know, maybe if only Ricky Schroder had that license plate. He probably got beat to the DMV by like 5 minutes with his application for the Cool One license plate.
Yeah, but the problem would have been he would have spelled it correctly.
Yeah,
and that would have downgraded his status in her eyes. Somehow she returns to Ricky and moves in with him. Now, from the beginning, Ricky is narrating this story, but not to us, to a local reporter with whom he has met in secret. So when the story is published, it's evident to everyone in the sheriff's department that Ricky is the anonymous source quoted within. So Ricky and Lara, they receive a threatening phone call.
Yeah.
But then they receive another call after they've made hasty plans to skip town. The other call is from the second in command we saw.
Oh, not Herb Monganus?
No.
Oh.
Surprisingly not.
Oh.
And this call from the second in command appears to be giving Ricky a second chance to make things right. With trepidation, Ricky agrees to attend a clandestine meeting that night.
Clay Nelson?
Yeah?
David McAndrew, Assistant U.S. Attorney. These men are all with various law enforcement agencies. This task force has one objective: to clean up Cade County.
Well, not him. Not that guy.
You know Agent Stevens?
Yeah, I know him. He's buddies with the sheriff, and I ain't saying another word to you.
Clay, I can explain. You're right. I was playing cozy with Jesse. But I had to keep him off guard until we had something solid on him.
How about that rinky-dink operation at the post office?
That was a trial balloon. If somebody was willing to cooperate, we win. If not, Jesse thinks he's safe and relaxes some more, which is the way it turned out.
Satisfied?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is that the last clip?
Yeah.
Now, we should point out this is based on a true story, like so many of these are. Are you surprised by that information?
I am. I'm not familiar with the actual story.
Neither am I. But it was alluded to many times in the YouTube comments, which I went. There were 438 comments, Steve, and I after a couple hundred, I couldn't, of not finding anything usable for the show, I kind of gave up. But I did learn that it's apparently based on a true story.
Well, Ricky gives detailed testimony in this barn.
Yeah.
And everybody involved goes to jail. Everybody else goes home. Ricky returns as deputy under the new sheriff.
Yeah.
And he marries Lara. And they probably stay married until the next loser revs his Camaro at a stoplight.
Yeah.
So before we rate the film, is there anything else you'd like to say about it?
She likes to play the hot hand, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You go ahead and you go first on this.
Okay, I'm going to give it 2 Meredith Baxters. I like that the meeting in the barn for Ricky to give testimony turned out not to be a setup. I feel like a lot of other movies would have done that.
But I thought it was because they read him his rights at the beginning.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't understand why they were doing that. I thought that it was going to turn and they were going to, like, it was all a big setup. But no, I guess that was part of the procedure. I
think the part of the procedure that is so that he would have the right to take the fifth if they asked him anything that he would not.
Right, because after that he says, "I won't take the fifth because then I won't have as much credibility because they'll assume I'm guilty of something, and that's why I'm doing it." Yeah, you're right. That's why they did it. Okay, but when it first happened, I assumed, oh, it's a double cross. But you like that they didn't do a double cross.
Yeah, yeah. And I only gave it a 2 out of 5. I would have rated it higher, Chris, but this is one of the darkest movies you've ever watched.
Like just lighting-wise, you mean?
Yes, lighting-wise. Not because of the subject matter. Literally one of the darkest films we've ever watched.
Yeah.
So dark, I suspect the key grip might have been Amish.
Yeah, maybe.
How about you, Chris?
See, I don't know if that's the actual production, though, because it was blurry, as I said before. And at one point we saw like a news crawl at the bottom.
Yeah.
This was recorded in Spokane, Washington. I don't know how I know that, but at some point it came up. I think it was after the movie. Somebody came in and said, I know what it was. They said, an update on the new garbage burning plant here on Spokane 8.
I'm sure they didn't say Spokane.
Isn't that the name of it?
Yeah, okay, good. Continue, Chris. Please.
Spokane?
Spokane, yes.
Okay. I assume you know what you're talking about.
Okay, see, now I'm a jerk, but...
I've always just thought it was Spokane.
I just know people are going to comment and tweet and say,
well, that'll be a first.
These guys don't know. These guys don't know what they're talking about. In fact, I think he planted a fantastic impetus for us to go viral.
So. I mean, we could just go to the end of the movie and hear it. It's during the end credits.
Okay, no, we don't actually have to do that.
Anyway, garbage burning plant.
Okay.
I assume that generates electricity, or I don't know. Somebody just had some rich guy had a weird kink. I don't know. I don't know exactly. What was I talking about? I have no idea.
You were about to rate the motion picture.
Oh, okay. What I was saying was, is it the fault of the production that it's so dark, or is it just a bad recording? I don't know if we can say for certain. Maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. But I'll be a little bit more generous than you, and I'll go 2.5 because I did enjoy this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, shall we do the Ricky Schroder update?
Please. So, as you said, after this film, he was on, was it NYPD Blue?
NYPD Blue.
Okay.
For, I think several seasons, maybe only a few, but he was a lead actor in that series.
Yeah, and then I don't know what he did after that. Maybe he had some more acting work.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't need any more.
He probably. You know what, man? You just reminded me of something. You know Corey Feldman, or was it Corey Feldman? There was some time like years ago where Corey Feldman was like berating his parents for wasting all of the money he earned when he was a kid.
I believe he sued them for what they call emancipation.
Okay. And
for stealing his money.
Yeah, and it came up during that Ricky Schroder's parents had gotten in on the ground floor investment of the Taco Bell franchise and turned the money he made in television into a lot more money.
So that's the opposite direction from Corey Feldman's parents.
Yeah.
They just stole his money.
They just took his money.
And did nothing with it.
And said, hey, you're going to work and we're going to party. But yeah, so Ricky, you're right. He probably just didn't really need acting work. His politics lean towards the right, which makes it harder for people in Hollywood because, that you're not as well accepted. You're not getting invited to the parties where people are talking about new projects.
But what does that have to do with being a decent actor?
Well, nothing. But you can still get work. It just makes it more difficult because you're not in the same social circles because your politics are different from everyone else's, which doesn't affect things in my social circles. I talk to people of all political persuasions.
Exactly. That's what I don't understand. How can we do this, but Hollywood can't?
I don't know, but you hear this all the time. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm a victim of gossip that I'm taking to heart. And
I don't know. True. I don't know that it's wrong, but what I do see is a lot of people who can't get work anymore for one reason or another. And it must be because of something. Sometimes it's politics. Sometimes it's because I'm 35 and I'm a woman, or there's always something to lean on.
35 and a woman, yeah, of course you're not going to work.
All right, Chris.
Who are you playing? Someone's mom? You're 35.
All right.
Sorry. Anyway, you're right. It could just be an excuse people make. Maybe Ricky Schroder was just a real dick to everyone, and that's why he wasn't getting work. Well, let's explore that theory a little bit.
Oh, boy. All right.
Jim, let's roll the Costco video.
Well, what we are going to do is simply follow the guidelines.
Okay. Everybody in California get their refund from Costco. Give up your membership to Costco until they remove this.
Okay, well, this hasn't changed in any building.
Can we pause it?
In California, in any company.
How can we not pause it? What's going on? Is this on TikTok? Apparently, you can't pause TikToks. I don't know.
Oh.
But when he says until they remove this, what he's referring to is the sign saying you got to wear a mask. It's COVID time. You want to come in our store, wear a mask. He apparently he objects to this. So I guess we can keep rolling.
I shop still require masks, but that's not the point. The point is Costco is simply abiding by the law, and that's the law.
There's my refund. You're the manager?
I'm the manager.
Okay, I'm suggesting everybody in California get a refund from Costco until this rule is lifted. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right, so he's demanding a refund. I guess his membership, he wants to rescind his membership and be refunded his dues.
Yeah, you need a membership to shop at Costco.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to shop there if you had to wear a mask.
Yeah. And they're saying we're just abiding by state laws, which I guess is true. But also, if any store decides you're required to wear a mask for entry, that's is that not up to each individual operation?
I have no idea. I don't like the idea of him berating that guy's just, his job is to stand by the door. How much do you think he makes to stand by a door?
Well, I don't think his argument is with that man in particular.
But that's my objection.
It's the policy and the company wide.
Then why are you
demand.
standing there arguing with that guy? He has no control over anything.
Because in this moment, he's the face of the corporation.
But you should have enough sense to know that this guy he can't, you know what, sir, you're right. Go on in. And he had the manager there. The lady at the end was the manager. If you want to argue with someone, argue with her. Instead, he's like, oh, thank you. Thank you very much for my refund.
All right, you make a valid point there.
Well, it gets even more egregious because there's another example of this.
Okay.
And this is him attempting to enter the Dwight Eisenhower Museum.
He's a bit of a hothead, this Rick Schroder.
Yeah.
He wants to be called Rick now.
Okay.
I think that's been for 30 years. We just ignored it.
I don't make the rules.
No, he calls himself Ricky
So we're at the Eisenhower Museum.
Yes, you are.
And I can't visit. My name's Ricky Schroder.
My name's Ricky
I
Schroder.
drove
I
over
think
here
he
to
said
visit.
Rick Schroder.
No, go back.
And you're telling me
You can't come in.
I can't come into
I
this
like how he
museum
throws that down like it's 1984.
without a mask. Whose rule is this?
It's the National Archives and Record Administration's rule.
It's the federal government's rules.
Yes.
Evil federal government. Right?
That's your opinion.
That is my opinion.
Okay.
God's laws are higher than the federal government's. But you're going to enforce man's laws,
Yes, we are.
not God's laws.
Correct, sir.
Can we pause it?
I don't.
I wish that guy had pulled out there. Well, opinions are like assholes, sir. That's my opinion. All right, well. Rick Schroder was born in Brooklyn, by the way. Why is it just me, or is he? Do I detect a Southern accent going on here?
Well, that could be. I guess the only roles he can get are in things where he plays a Southerner, so the audience can identify with his.
Well, the audience can identify because apparently he goes around saying, "I'm Ricky Schroder."
Yeah, that's his first go-to. I don't even think Mr. T tries that anymore. It's a shame because I do like the guy, and I enjoy when people are I don't know what to call it. Not rebellious, I guess rebellious, or at least try to question what is taking place. On the other hand, in this case, he's being belligerent, as you said, to people who don't really have a dog in this race.
Well, it gets worse if we can keep going.
Oh, boy.
All I know, it's our boss.
That's right. You don't know God. God bless. God bless. Dwight D. Eisenhower, the man who defeated the Nazis, and you've become one.
Okay. I mean, I guess it wasn't quite how I remember it, but he did call the guy a Nazi.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's an insult.
Sure.
Yeah. So
it depends what bar you're in, but yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he just seems like a jerk to me. Like, why are you that guy's both of them are basically security guards. They're the lowest rung on the ladder. Don't take your policy disagreements out on them, you know? And frankly, just put the freaking... He could have put the mask on, walked in, and immediately taken it off. And probably no one would have said a damn thing. Is this a publicity stunt, you think? Or is he that far into his beliefs?
Well, I think he's that far into his beliefs. I don't think it's a matter of a publicity stunt. It's wanting to be a hero for the cause.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it is kind of a shame, isn't it? You know? That somebody's making a spectacle. I didn't feel this way when all this stuff about Johnny Depp came out, because you know what I'm talking about, like at the Amber Heard trial.
Oh yeah.
Where he's just like stumbling around his house drunk. I'm like, yeah, that's what people do. I didn't have the same reaction. I don't yell at security guards, so this doesn't strike the same chord with me.
But he was on some kind of tour that was alluded to during these videos, where it's the Freedom Tour or something. And I think it might have been part of the deal of this tour was to see what places he could get into with or without a mask.
I think the Freedom Tour is him with a phone and a Ford F-150 going around to wherever is within a day's drive. But okay, call it the Freedom Tour.
Yeah, it is odd that he would say, well, God's law is higher than... Well, maybe in your spiritual beliefs that is the case, but you're in a country that has its own laws.
Right.
And you have to abide by those. Whether or not you agree with them, you can protest against them, which he appears to be doing in his little way. But those things aren't the same. We're not a theocracy.
Yes. Yeah, true.
In that case, is there anything we didn't talk about you might want to talk about?
No. Is there anything you want to talk about? Because we brought something up earlier before the show. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. Am I missing something, Chris?
No.
All right, in that case, I think we did it.
Okay.
For Chris Morgani, Jim Corhan, I'm Steve Rees. Oski wee wee.
Oski wawa.
Holy Magano.
Tigers.
Eat 'em raw. We did it, sir.